good look at it right now with Rick Carlisle and these Mavs?
I think there's some jump-out exceptions where, Bill Belichick is to me, he's an anomaly, and I think Greg Popovich is that, and I think Rick Carlisle is that. I agree with you. Carlisle, whatever ups and downs the teams might be going through, is one of those guys where I've got him, and he works well with Donnie and with Cuban, and Donnie is brilliant at what he does too. I'm keeping that through all the ups and all the downs. But that doesn't make everybody special, and John DeFilippo right now doesn't look very special in Minnesota, and therefore doesn't mean he can't coach.
Right.
That doesn't mean that 5 years from now we won't be saying, man, oh man, boy, did Minnesota make a mistake. That Filippo, he's brilliant. But even right now with the Rams, there's Rams fans who are going, hey, I thought our coach and our quarterback was good.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden they can't win outdoors in the cold or something. So
can't protect. Neither team can protect.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to argue that Chris Richard isn't good. I wouldn't ever argue that. Nor am I arguing that, boy, that Linehan, he's turning this league upside down. I don't argue that either. But my position in the roundtable that these things, these guys and their careers have a life of their own.
And you know what? To put an exclamation point on what you're saying, Chris Richard got fired at Seattle. He helped create the Legion of Boom, but he's still a great coach, and that's why he's doing still great things in Dallas. So your point about DeFilippo or whatever his name is in Minnesota is well taken.
I feel much better about Richard than DeFilippo right now because he's done it in two spots, and he's taken a group that we thought was pretty good but not great and inspired confidence, and done that in two different locations. Right? I think that's difficult to do, but I think you also have a point in there, Fish. What do you think that when the hot coach hits the radar? Sometimes it's for good reason, and sometimes he was just in a great set of circumstances that allowed his best traits to have a spotlight put on him.
Sometimes, to bounce off what Bassick said, sometimes he looks the part. I mean, we do love that. We do love a guy that looks the part. We also love, once a team has had kind of a quote, softy coach, we got to replace him with a toughie.
Yep.
And then the toughie goes for about 4 years, and we're like, boy, he is grinding them to death. We got to get somebody who's their friend in
here.
What
a jerk.
Aren't the Rangers going through that, right?
Yeah, a little bit, maybe.
And so I just think with some exceptions, there's not the simple answer that we think there is. There's a morphing answer. There's a flexible answer. And the Cowboys going forward, and Cowboy fans maybe need to be open-minded to that.
Well, I bet the Eagles are excited. Mike brought up a really good point earlier when the story first broke that maybe the Eagles would bring him back as their quarterback coach because things haven't been the same for him since DeFilippo and Frank Reich left.
Yeah, and maybe the Vikings need to bring back Bud Grant, which they actually did. Actually brought back. Remember
Sleeveless,
that
short sleeve.
Bud Grant was 100, and he retired. And then they went through like 3 coaches, and Bud's still sitting there.
Sure
and
is.
Bud Grant is their Tom Landry.
He is.
And just like that, if Tom Landry was still alive, and the Cowboys were when they were 3-5, we would have been calling for Tom Landry to come back.
As long as we're talking about coaches, though, Mike, I'd love to get your thoughts on this idea that what if the Cowboys do have a successful year, score plenty of points in the playoffs, win, lose, draw, whatever, but that they could still make a change at offensive coordinator? Is that still on the table moving into 2019?
I think it is until this coaching staff gets contract extensions, which we'll roundtable this in a second, which I don't endorse at this moment. But that doesn't mean that Jerry might not think it's a heck of an idea. I think that a change from Scott Linehan remains in play, and I don't think necessarily, hey, we scored 29 points. I don't think that's necessarily an automatic, okay, you're safe argument. Same thing with what they might do with a potential retirement of Rod Marinelli. And this speaks to what I think we're talking about here, which is we've just got to let the cake bake. And what we thought about this guy sucks when they were 3-5 may or may not be true as they go 8-5. And you can win the Super Bowl, and this guy can still suck. And General, I think that's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about defensive coordinator? Is that a big enough job that it could keep Chris Richard around here? If I'm Chris, I'm probably wanting to wait until the off season and get a look at some of these head coaching opportunities that might be coming up.
Don't let
Chris go. He will
go.
definitely get interviews.
Yeah,
and, of course, what we've suggested is if Jason Garrett does somehow lose his job, which seems less likely than ever now, that Chris Richard would be the very first guy that gets interviewed. One of the reasons, of course, the Rooney Rule. The teams want to interview a person of color so they can play within those rules. But he's also, by reputation, merits the interview. And sure, I love being a defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, but I'd much rather run my own program. And depending on how the Cowboys do in the playoffs, Chris Richard will surely get interviewed for that chance.
Is there any way Jerry would be interested in compensating a guy to remain in-house for longer? Is Richard that good that he would get that kind of Jason Garrett type of cash? And
he did it with Zimmer, Mike.
We want to make you a lifetime Cowboy?
I can see that, but what situation in the NFL is so bad as a head coach that I don't want to run that ship? I can't think of one.
No, I mean, the only thing that would, you could get yourself in a spot that could go so bad that you wouldn't get another chance, right? I think that's the risk that some head coaches take, especially since you use the word coaches of color. You go to a job and you don't necessarily get the second chances that Caucasian head coaches might.
Oh, that's valid. But let's even the Browns, the most historically the poorest franchise in the NFL, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Chris Richard at age 39, if he got offered the chance to go coach the Cleveland Browns, I think he'd don't walk. I don't think there's any way you could stop him.
Okay. Yeah. How about David Irving? Are we going to see him?
Okay, so let's roundtable this. David Irving. I just haven't seen him I think I've seen him in the building once in the last month. But you're making a playoff run. You could use all hands on deck.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe you're going to rest somebody. We'll see. We'll get to that in a minute. If David Irving walked out on the practice field tomorrow with a helmet, is all forgiven and everything's fine and you're back a part of the team and go hit somebody, assuming he's in shape?
Yeah, I just think that we don't have a lot of time with this team to worry about stuff like that. It's like, okay, he's here. I don't think we need to do any hand wringing. It's not like we got a lot of time on our hands. We can just move on. Like we can't control it.
All
David
forgiven.
Irving is a complete wild card. If he's here, that's the only way an organization can successfully do this. It's like letting Manny be Manny. Just fine, whatever he wants to do. Don't make a big deal out of it because when we do have him playing, he's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, then that's fine. We're going to let Manny be Manny when it comes to David Irving for 3 weeks, but I think we recognize we're not going to do it for 3 more years, are we?
Right.
I mean, this is where I think your inside information is coming through here, Fish. You tell us, because you seem pretty strong on this that it's not going to be the regular David Irving approach that we saw over the last couple of years, that we saw with Rolando McClain for a couple of years.
I think it exacerbates. Is that a word? Exacerbates.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it exacerbates the situation with David Irving when one of the guys that took his place as an interior defensive lineman is Antoine Woods, who came from nowhere, and all he does is work, and all he does is make subtle plays all the time, every game. From the very first day he stepped on the field in Oxnard, undrafted rookie free agent, and he's got a nasty attitude, and he does everything just right. And he does exactly what they want, and he performs. And then I got David. So you love the Superman aspect of what David can do, but I think if I'm a coach, I like the guy that shows up on time every day even more.
Well, does that guy showing up on time have legit starter potential? Because once you find a guy that you feel like you're fairly solid on for 3 or 4 years, then I'd be all for turning the page on David Irving. But they just haven't had any defensive tackle talent that would allow them to be that choosy up till now.
Yeah, and they're going to argue now that, but Malik Collins at the 3 technique and Antoine Woods as the 1 technique, good enough that Tyron Crawford now goes and plays end again. And that's a young combo, Malik Collins and Antoine Woods. That maybe that could do it. Now that's not Sue, that's not Aaron Donald. And talent-wise, it's not David Irving. But performance-wise, it's otherworldly compared to David.
If the Cowboys sit Zach Martin coming up this week, would that be a sign that they are valuing rest and considering the division just about clinched to you?
And this is a great roundtabler. What if Zach Martin comes to the trainer and on Friday and says, I'm fine? And the trainer goes to the head coach and the owner and general manager and says, he's kind of fine. I mean, he's kind of the way he was for the last month. Is that good enough? I'll give my opinion. I think they pour everything they can into this game. I think you start playing around saying, well, we'll clinch it next week, and you flirt with disaster. So I think Sean Lee, If Tavon Austin could do it, let him do it. And I think if Zach Martin says, boys, I'm playing, then I'm going to believe Zach Martin, and I'm going to let him play.
You know, and I've been talking about rest, but now when you look at Chicago having beat the Rams, you got a game to make up. They're going to take on the Packers. If you could beat the Colts and Green Bay gets the upset, now you've created a tie there for that 3 seed. I think I want to go for it this week and then evaluate going into Week 16 probabilities. But, you know, still things are fairly lined up that you could catch Chicago. So as long as that's not an astronomical possibility but a real probability, I think I'd keep my pedal to the metal as long as Zach Martin gives me the thumbs up.
Yeah, and then if we're starting to wonder, Gavin, well, what is Jason Garrett's general philosophy on taking my foot off the pedal when there's not much to gain? Because some people will say, what is it, rust versus rest and all that kind of stuff. But if you look back 2 years ago, 2016 Cowboys, where Tony Romo played in that game, remember?
Yeah.
That was Tony Romo's goodbye.
Yeah,
the
against the Eagles.
Touchdown to Terrence Williams. That was Dak played in that game, but that was a Mark Sanchez game. Ezekiel Elliott did not have a carry in that game.
Yep.
Right.
Sean Lee
did not play
in that game.
Did not play.
That was a Gatchkar. Gatchkar, I think, led him in tackles in that game. So there is a time, philosophically, for Jason Garrett to take the foot off the pedal, but I don't think this week is that week.
Jesse Hawley asked this on Twitter last night. I caught it. He was like, "Is Terrence Williams? Is he done with the Cowboys? Is he? You talk about David Irving, and not that the Cowboys need Terrence Williams, but is he just like done?"
Yeah, they're concerned about Terrence Williams's mental state of well-being, and so he's not been in the building. He did go out to kind of dinner with some of the fellas the other night. And they were glad to see him, and a good time was had by all. But that's about as close as T. Will has been to being a Cowboy in quite some time, hanging out with the fellas after the game.
Anything else before we let you go, Fish?
I'd say Tolo.
All right, there he goes, Tolo at Fish Sports on Twitter. And, yeah, I got a wallet full of these Tolo back window
Thank
decals.
everybody for tuning in to this thing, man. I had to give you guys the information from Fish, the Fish Report. Go and follow his Twitter page. All the content is from 105.3 The Fan and radio.com. Really appreciate each and every last one of you guys for tuning in, for being part of this thing. But we're going to get back to the natural show of everything, and then Q&A will be at the latter part of this. But really appreciate you all. Let's see what we can do. First thing first, we're going to listen to Chris Carter by chance, and then we can jump back to Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharps of the world. Like I said before, I really appreciate each and every last one of you guys. Let me see if I can correct 99, this right here. Go right here. Got to go properties maybe. And then we're going to go right around here. You guys seeing the back work, other back work going on right now. Bam. In there like swimwear. All right, so we get to see y'all see this guy right here, but let's go with it.
Winners of 5 in a row. And Jason Garrett's job is about as safe as Cece's. And after beating the Eagles on Sunday, Jerry Jones says this team can win in the postseason.
Like
Cowboys head to Indy this week to try and lock up the NFC East. See, you agree with Jerry Jones that the Cowboys can win in the postseason?
Jerry's saying a lot of things lately I agree with.
That's dangerous.
But he's saying a lot.
Right, right. There's such a high volume.
Okay, so there's a filter, and I'm catching some of it. But I feel you, Jerry, and the reason why, because if you look at the teams, let's look at the top-rated teams. The Saints played them. Rams, we see what they did against Chicago. And I know Dallas feels like they got just as good a defense. The Bears, Cowboys are third, that team, Seattle, and the Vikings. There ain't no team in there they're afraid of. From a defensive standpoint, they match up well with all those teams. Is there anybody in there Dallas can't run the ball against?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Seattle, they probably have the most trouble, but no.
Right. The Saints, they got the best run defense, but they ran it against them before. So, and they faced them in the head-to-head. So, yes, when you just look at one part of the ball, absolutely, because you can contain any of those offenses. You're not afraid of them. And the way that Dak is playing and the way that Zeke, and now they found some type of passing game, they match up with any defense there, unless they have to go to Chicago. And I just believe that because of that wind, it would be a ball control type of game. But I believe Chicago presents a lot of problems in Chicago for the Cowboys. So Jerry is right. They match up well.
Now, I agree with Chris on this aspect of it. Hey, Chicago is cold. Their defense is nasty. So to me personally, the Cowboys need to figure out a way to win the rest of these 3 games. Maybe we can knock them off and be 3 seed and everything far as before we go to these dome teams, because with LA Rams, I'm not afraid of playing up there in that way, or the New Orleans, but that's a dome team. But the weather would be nice in LA. So the only reservation would be, and I'm not trying to look too far down the line, would be the Chicago Bears. We need to figure out a way to win these last 3 games. And then to piggyback off of what Mike Fisher said earlier about David Irving, my only thought on David Irving would be, yes, he's a knucklehead. Yes, he got these problems and situations and issues and things like that. But the collective thing with David Irving, he brings so much to this team that we can overlook some of these issues as it relates to these last 3 games or whatever. And then on top of that, the emergence of Amari Cooper. Everybody, go check out my guy Tavon Austin's Instagram page. Go check it out, man. The guy looks like he's healthy. They may just be holding him back just a little bit and maybe keep him for this run, because we already know the explosive aspect what Amari Cooper can bring. Can you guys just close your eyes? Just close your eyes and imagine. Oh, just imagine what Tavon Austin can do out there as well. So those 2 things, man, it's going to be nasty. We just need Dak Prescott to just play what he's been doing for the last 5 games and minimize and stop fumbling the ball. And we can roll with this thing. If we can get hot right now, because we're still not at our peak. Remember, the defense not hitting its peak right now because we don't have Belly Irvin, David Irvin, number 95. Yes, I always say we live like 95, but he's not out there. And then on top of that, can I add into this fact again that Tavon Austin is not out there? Man, that would be nice. But let's listen to what Chris has to say.
They are peaking at the right point. I believe that Amari Cooper, he's going to start to generate more attention as far as coverage. I still believe this is not some hot streak that he's on. They're going to throw the ball to him, and he's going to be one of the best receivers in the league. But right now, you defend Dallas with 7 or 8 defenders. And right now, when you watch that film, you better put 2 people over on Amari Cooper's side of the field. So you're starting to run out of bodies on the defense. So how they go about game planning Scott Lanahan, it's going to be a lot easier these last 3 games than it has been for him in the season.
And that numbers issue is why you talked about yesterday moving forward for Dallas. If they could get a real tight end, then you all of a sudden have real legitimate matchup problems across the board. You mentioned you think the toughest thing for them would be going to Chicago. Dallas would love to have that problem, because the only way that could happen is if it's in the NFC Championship game, because they're going to, neither one of them is going to be the one or the 2. So they sign Dallas and Jerry up for that and see what happens. But that's why these last 2 games and the way in which they won them is so important. You have against the Saints and then the first 3 quarters against Philly, defensive performances that are good enough to beat anybody. The 1 touchdown they gave up in the first 3 quarters against Philly was after a Dak pick where they were set up on the goal line essentially. And then the one thing we hadn't seen from Dallas all year, a potent high-flying passing attack, that's their most vivid memory. It's the 4th quarter in overtime, against Philly. So you have in the last 2 games, you say, okay, if we just take the best parts of each of our games, Zeke was consistent in both games. The defense was excellent for 7 quarters. The passing game was as good as it's been in 2 years in that 4th quarter against Philly. Now, I know Philly's undermanned regardless. Like, you say, okay, we put it all together. We're as good as anybody. Like that is what they can convince themselves.
One of the things I was really concerned with the Cowboys, how would this young team respond after the euphoric win against the Saints? And you could see, you know, they could have played better, but in the first 3 quarters of that
defense couldn't have played better.
I mean, I mean, that was a good, you knew that was a good football team who had handled some type of success. So Coach Mangini talks about managing when you lose, managing when you win. So that, to me, is a team that's learning how to win. And as you can see, late in the game, young players making big plays, that type of energy and everything is infectious, and the momentum of it late in the season, I believe, carries on strong week to week.
Earlier in the season, we placed a lot of blame on Jason Garrett and how he was managing this team. Now that they've won 5 in a row, how much credit do you give Jason Garrett for the way they're playing?
So in the micro and the macro, I want to give him a ton of credit. In the micro, things like that 4th and 1, I'm going to keep harping on that because it's not fair if we harp on the 4th and 2, he doesn't go for in overtime against, I think it was the Texans, where he punted and they end up losing that game. And then in overtime on a 4th and 1 in a spot, I think 28 of 32 coaches kick the field goal there. You're inside 4 minutes. You can go up in overtime. You have a great defense. And instead, he tried to go for the kill. And then in the macro, in this 5-game winning streak, Zeke's touching the ball 31 times per game. He's giving you 115 on the ground and 55 in through the air per game. So one of the big criticisms early was, and I know Jason Garrett's not the offensive coordinator.
Before he goes a little bit further into that, man, that's the only scary part about this thing. Although we are winning, although we are leading in most of these games, and we got a 5-game winning deal going on right now. But man, it's scary, man, giving all those things to Ezekiel Elliott. Look, we got to figure out a way, man, to utilize Rod a little bit more, and also use Jameis Olawale just a little bit more, but sprinkle those guys in to give him spells at the right time. But I'm just in fear of Ezekiel Elliott with anything that can be detrimental to his health. But outside of that, man, a win is a win, and I like what I'm seeing out there on the field from as far as it relates to Ezekiel. But let's go. Let's listen to some more.
But it ends at his feet. Why isn't Zeke getting the ball more? He has the last month plus, and they've been winning accordingly to go along with Amari and everything else. And the fact that he had whatever C has talked about as far as talking to Saban and talking to the coaches and the relation, whatever he is doing mentally for Amari Cooper, which you've said is very important, from Sanjay Lal, the wide receivers coach, on up to the owner in Jerry Jones, that has obviously worked very well for him.
Well, we missed something on this team, and we just thought Dallas was going to be a playoff team. We thought they'd be contending, but we didn't consider this offseason. We talked about the players. We know they made a mistake as far as Dez, when they didn't offer him some type of contract, and bringing in Allen Hurns thinking he was going to be the #1 guy. They made a mistake. They did not have enough firepower in that room. But where he didn't make a mistake was they changed 7 coaches. But we as reporters, we missed that. We didn't think or bake it into how long is it going to take for this team to be able to adjust with this new coaching staff.
What? Chris just mentioned that the media just didn't take into account that they just changed out, the Dallas Cowboys organization changed out 7 coaches. Man, what is going on? Is this December the 11th? Is this 2018 or is it already 2019? What year is this? What planet am I on? Oh, my goodness, man. Let's listen.
7 coaches, and they changed the offensive line coach during the season. So that's 8 new coaches that this team of 53 guys, that's an adjustment not only for the staff, not only for the organization, but for every player. How does this coach going to coach me? And then they trade for Amari Cooper. So the criticism is because we didn't realize they were making an adjustment with those huge staff changes. We should have been thinking about that. We didn't. And we made a mistake by over-criticizing because we over-analyzed the Cowboys. Jason Garrett is a good coach for the Cowboys. He knows the heartbeat of the Cowboys, but it took an adjustment with those type of staff changes. We just didn't see it.
Well, they've got the momentum.
Yeah, so you guys can hear that, right? You guys can hear that. So all what me and Vash Lombardi and all those, I can throw in Mark Holmes, and I can throw in a lot of people who said, look, this team, we didn't have no chemistry during preseason. There's a new coaching staff that's coming into the fold. Yes, it's going to take time for everything to develop. And now today, the national media, because I can say that they are part of the national media. I know over 1 million people are going to be listening in to their particular show. So now there's going to be echoed throughout the masses of letting everybody know that they changed out 7 coaches altogether collectively. Then on top of that, the receivers, the Allen Hurns of the world, although we we picked him up. He's not a Dez Bryant, and we understand that. And he's not even an Amari Cooper. Then for this coaching staff to understand, to say, okay, we made a mistake. Yes, we made a mistake. Let's go out there and let's give away our first-round draft pick next year. Let's go ahead and get this guy. He's young. He's under 25 years old. Let's go ahead and give that pick to the Raiders, and let's see what we can do to put some weapons around Dak Prescott. Now, on top of that, there's another caveat that I have to bring up, and I'm not trying to be a Dak Prescott apologist, because I have to say this all the time. He got to step up through his throws. He got to go through his progressions better. The anticipation aspect got to become better. But this is another thing that they're missing. It's still going to take time, and I'm talking about time, for the young tight ends to get together too. So this team is not at its highest peak at this point. And of course, we got a quarterback that's not at his highest peak as well. But collectively, what he's doing for this particular team is elevating everybody else because of the fact that he's not making the extreme mistakes. Now, I must say, I'm going to say this too. Could we have been better if he stopped turning over the ball? Yes. But the team is winning, the intangibles. We are 8-5. The guy that won 30 games, not by himself, but the team won 30 games within these last 3 years. So that's everything. Let's continue to listen in to this show. We're going to kick it over to Skip and Shannon Sharp. And I think this is a new host. Look at Holly. Forget about Molly. Holly bringing in the thing. She got her, boy, I tell you, boy, I ain't going to say anything. But Holly, good golly, forget about Molly. Think about Holly. She's on here.
Morning. I was upset about that, but I'm more upset about what we're about to talk about right now.
He wants to get right into it.
You like Vegas.
Yeah, well, not anymore.
Somebody's not getting the respect they deserve, according to Skip. Let's start with the Cowboys. They've won 5 straight after beating the Eagles in overtime on Sunday. Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper, of course, connected for 3 touchdowns in that game, but they're still not getting a lot of respect. Dallas opened as a 3-point underdog for Sunday's game on the road against the Colts. And on the other side, the Colts are also on fire, though, winning 6 of their last 7. So, Shannon, should Dallas be an underdog?
I believe they should, Skip. For the simple fact, I believe Indy has been equally as hot as the Dallas Cowboys. As Holly read, they won their last 6 out of 7, and the only loss came in a 6-0 ball game loss to Jacksonville. And if you look at Andrew Luck, he's playing at an MVP level. He didn't get off. He got off to a slow start, and we questioned, is his shoulder healthy? Is he healthy? But if you look at him since this winning streak, he's been unbelievable. The Colts do a great job of protecting him. The Colts offensive line is second in sacks allowed. He's only been sacked 16 times. And what happened early in his career, Skip, he got beat up. A lot of it, his offensive line didn't protect him. And a lot of it, once he broke the pocket, he didn't know when the journey was over. He was unwilling to get down or get out of bounds. He was trying to always fight for those extra yards. And it ended up costing him a season and a half, a lot of season 2 injuries. You look at the Colts defense, they're good against the rush, 8 against rush, 6 against rush yards allowed. And they're a different team at home. We saw what the Cowboys were able to do at home. They beat a very, very good New Orleans Saints team, stymied them, held them to 13 points. Drew Brees were in the catbird seat for the MVP, and thanks to the old Cowboys defense. I like old Cowboys defense. They did a number on him and got my homeboy back in the front. And
man, nice little get up though. We ain't gonna even lie. He liked the blue. He liked the blue. Look at that. He liked the blue.
They did a very good job against Carson Wentz. He did not look very good early on in that ball game, although he had some great throws late. So, Skip, I get it. Vegas is looking at it like, you know what, guys, I understand. But Indy is very good at home. They've been very good of late. And I can see this basically what they're saying, because the home team normally gets 3 points. So they're basically saying this is really a pick 'em game. So, and I'm going to pick, and you already know I'm picking.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to start to get some of my cases back this week.
Go ahead.
Shannon Sharp has
my
still
Cowboys.
not learned his lesson. Again and again and again, he doubts. And again, he loses case after case of Diet Mountain Dew.
Okay, I'm hard-headed.
Breakfast of champions, the nectar of the gods. And once again, you're going to fall even deeper into the swimming pool of Diet Mountain Dew that you have lost to me already, because you lost another case. So we're up to 11, but we have 6 cases pending on the outcome of the NFC East. And I now lead that by 2 games with 3 games to go. So it could be clinched if my Cowboys shock the world and go up to Indy and somehow win yet another game. So, as you know, I always guess the odds before I look at them. I looked at them this morning at 2:15 a.m., and I fell out of my chair, just like I was falling out of my chair Sunday late in the Cowboy game.
So you thought the Cowboys would be favored?
I did usually I think, okay, what's the worst case? I thought it would be pick 'em at the worst case. I thought maybe they'd be favored by a point or two, because I'm going to remind you, they are not only America's team, they are America's betting team. So they always get penalized by Las Vegas for their popularity, where points will be subtracted from them to try to make people to bet on them, because you're making it more, where you're
enticing people.
You're actually.
But let me tell y'all this right now. I love it. I love the fact that we are the underdogs. Can you guys agree with me? When we flying under the radar, when all of the expectation is not high for us, we somehow, somewhat, some ways find a place to get that W. So I like being the underdog. Continue. Please just make us trash for the rest of the years to come. Because one thing that I can say from here, that when we are the underdogs, when we down what below us, what you walk on and you look at the bottom of your foot, when they put the Cowboys Nation in that category, man, we shine. I like it. I like the fact that Vegas got us out of this game. I like the fact that Vegas think that the Colts are going to come in here and just beat us down. I like this. Matter of fact, forget that. I don't like it. I love it. How do you guys feel? Let me know. Once this video is over, we can do a quick Q&A and I read all your comments.
Actually enticing people not to bet on them, because they're going to bet on them anyway.
Right.
And all of a sudden, trust me, this spread will get bet backward, because people are going to jump all over this today at -3, and it'll become -2, -1. I'm not going to be shocked if it finishes at Cowboys at Pick'em, because Las Vegas clearly is still not buying into the Cowboys. And I am shocked by that, because they are already buying completely back into Andrew Luck. And finally, after all these many years, he is starting to live up to his pre-draft hype. I was never the biggest Andrew Luck fan, as you well know. Going into that draft, I said, I'm taking RG3 barely. I loved what Washington did to go up and get RG3, and he backed me up for 1 year. He was the offensive rookie of the year, and Andrew Luck struggled. And Andrew Luck turned into a beat-up, knocked down, dragged out turnover machine for those first, 4 years of his career. And he was just a disaster shell of himself, because he took a shellacking. So they've shored up their offensive line. They took the kid from Notre Dame, the guard, and they're much better. And they have been arguably the hottest team in football, unless we can make a case that my team's the hottest team in football. So the two seasons have closely mirrored each other, right? Because these guys started out 1-5. They finally got to 3-5, which is where my team hit bottom at 3-5 after the Monday night game, the debacle to Tennessee, right?
Whoa, Coach started off 1-5? That's nasty. That's nasty. That means they are hot then. They are hot.
Yep. That was your golden shining moment of this football season, and I was down for the count. But since then, would you believe Las Vegas keeps saying no, 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 no to the Dallas Cowboys? And would you believe over the last 5 games, they have beaten the spread all 5 times? So they have covered 5 straight games. And the last 4 times my Cowboys have been underdogs, they have won the game outright.
Wow.
How many times did that happen? And may I count the ways quickly? They were underdogs to Jacksonville when Jacksonville was still riding high. The number one team.
True that.
I'm not going to. I'm starting because that's where it all started, and that was the one aberration game. There was no Amari Cooper for that game. Dallas 40, Jacksonville 7 as a 3-point underdog, and then they go to the Eagles when everybody had written them off, including the man across the table from me, who was just doubling down on every bet. And they were 7.5-point underdogs, and they won the game outright on the field, 27-20. Then they go to Atlanta, and I doubted them. I didn't think they could win Atlanta because Atlanta was still flying pretty high.
No, they hadn't.
Yes, they were.
They were not. Look at Atlanta now.
Atlanta was a
looking bad now.
3.5 favorite at home, and somehow Dallas won 22-19. And dare I bring back up the Saints game? Saints came in.
Well, let me just bring this down before they get into more details of the Atlanta Falcons game. You guys remember they were saying like Atlanta Falcons, they average 32, 33 points a game. The Dallas Cowboys don't have a chance to beat the Atlanta Falcons. And I was sitting there saying that there's a way. It's possible. And everybody like, oh, man, Dak Prescott can't hit water if he fell off a boat. This defense is all going to be exposed this weekend. They horrible. They can't get takeaways, turnovers, and stuff like that. And we went up there and we beat the Atlanta Falcons. It could have been worse. We could have beat them better. We could have beat them. Whatever the end record was, put that down in the chat box. Help me out. But whatever their score was, we could have had them even. Like the one touchdown that they did had, or I think what it was, Cheeto Woozier couldn't get his head turned around to the ball, something like that. But it could have been worse. It could have been worse of a loss for the Atlanta Falcons, but it is what it is.
And 7.5-point favorites, and that quarterback was playing the greatest quarterback we'd ever seen any quarterback play up to that point, and it wound up 13-10, my defense.
If you don't mind me asking, who went on the road last week and beat the hottest team playing currently, the Texans?
Andrew Luck did.
Okay.
So I give you that. And I look at what Andrew Luck has been doing, and he has been simply the hottest quarterback in pro football over the last 7 games. What's that?
Second.
Well, I mean, but over the last 7, I'm going to have to give him the nod. To who? To Drew Brees?
My homeboy.
Well, Drew Brees was having the greatest QBR season. Well, he was.
He was.
I'm just more the quarterback in the QBR.
Huh?
It's more the...
Drew Brees was having one hell of a year until he met the Cowboys. But let's go. Let's go.
I'm just telling you stats. He was having an
Expose
all-time
him a little
QBR
bit.
season until he rode into Dallas. The Saints came marching
Well, you
in.
can have an all-time great season if you lose to Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's been benched twice in one season.
All right. Well, but he made up for that. So here we are, and yet we have one aberration game for Andrew Luck, because this is the one I can't explain, and this is the one that should stick in Las Vegas's craw, because just 2 weeks ago at Jacksonville, 6-0, Andrew Luck got shut out, and he had one bad QBR the whole year. He had a 27, scale of 0 to 100 at Jacksonville, and they lost 6-0. Really?
So what's your...
And you're making them favorites over the team that is blowing out the NFC East?
You lost to the Titans by 17.
Okay.
But they scored
that
0.
aberration?
They didn't score.
You lost to Washington.
Hitting bottom.
You lost to Washington.
Yeah. Because of a bogus call at the end of the game.
Me and Skip on the same page,
You lost 5 games, so were all the calls bogus? You got 5 losses.
That was a bogus call.
About 2 of those games.
Let me ask you some questions.
Okay.
Who leads the league in rushing now? What running back?
Elliott.
Ezekiel Elliott. Would you believe that? So my team has the leading rusher in pro football.
Okay.
Who has been the hottest receiver in football over the last 6 games?
Skip, you already know the answer.
No, you have the researcher. You got the Heisman Trophy winner.
So you don't know.
I don't know.
Give it to him.
Last
Amari
6 games.
Cooper.
Oh, Amari Cooper. I did not know that. You have enlightened me. 642 yards receiving over the last 6 games?
Yes.
Is he not the hottest receiver?
Oh, man. Let me rewind. Say that again, Skip. Say that again.
Football over the last 6 games.
Skip, you already know the answer.
No, you have the researcher. You got the Heisman Trophy winner.
So you don't know.
I don't know. Help me out.
You do know.
Last
Amari
6 games.
Cooper.
Oh, Amari Cooper. I did not know that. You have enlightened me.
Look, even she having a wonderful time. She's laughing at the jokes and the things that Skip Bayless is leveling out the Shannon Sharps of the world. That's what I like. That's what I like.
642 yards receiving over the last 6 games?
Yes.
Is he not the hottest receiver in football? And I hate to bring this up, but who barely has the #2 scoring defense in all of pro football? Just barely, because the Ravens are barely clinging to that lead right now. It's 18.5 to 18.9 points allowed per game. Who is that?
Who is that?
It's the Dallas Cowboy defense. And who leads the whole NFL in rushing yards allowed per carry? 3.6 per carry is the Dallas Cowboy defense. So it's come alive. And I have another question for you.
Go get him, Skip.
What was Drew Brees and company on 3rd down against the Dallas Cowboy defense? Help me out. I'm asking Las Vegas this question. Just what was Drew Brees? He was riding as high as you could ever ride.
Well, Las Vegas is not here to
That
answer.
was the #1 scoring defense in football, 37 points a game. And that night against my defense,
Oh, my
It went
goodness.
3 for 11 on third down, did the New Orleans Saints. Then Carson Wentz came rolling in. Walk it to him. Yes, he was. Walk it to him, Wentz. The best quarterback in the NFC East, said somebody across the
entertainment
table.
over here.
He is still, says the guy across from.
Yes.
What did he go on third down against my defense? He went 1 for 9. So Drew Brees went 3 for 11. Carson Wentz went 1 for 9. And
so that's 4 for 20.
That's very interesting to me. And yet Las Vegas says my team is a 3-point underdog. And I'm thinking,
love it, Vegas.
If you don't mind me asking, Mr. Researcher, since you got all of that, where was these games played that the Cowboys put on this exemplary performance?
They were both at home.
Okay, so what?
My team, I don't always trust my team. I like my team on the road better than I like
them
home.
on the road. Well, good. You're going to see them on the road and watch Andrew Luck throw 4 tugs on them.
So they went to Philly and they won.
Philly,
they went to Atlanta and they won.
Stop with Atlanta. You know Atlanta's terrible.
I don't know. That's interesting.
So is Atlanta terrible? Yes or no?
They've become terrible, but my Cowboys leave everybody for dead. Is what happens. If you look back, where was the beginning of the end for Jacksonville? Dallas. Beginning of the end for Philadelphia? Dallas. Beginning of the end for Atlanta? Dallas.
New Orleans?
New Orleans. You told me yesterday. You said New Orleans hasn't looked the same since
I can't
Dallas.
stand Skip Bailey.
Anybody that plays Dallas, that's murderer's row.
Well, they just get psychologically devastated by what hits them right between the eyes. They get hit by that defense.
You know what, Skip? You need to stop.
I'm just saying. I look at what's happening here, and the facts are the facts. They're right before your very eyes, but you keep saying, yeah, but Dak Prescott.
If I didn't know better, I swear I was talking to Jerry Jones right now. Because you be hyping him up just like he be hyping him up. Oh, this is a very good team right now. We some different cats.
We some different cats now.
Okay, different cats.
Yeah, that's what Jerry said.
They're different cats. They are different cats. So I will be the first to admit these are the cardiac Cowboys. They are the cardiac Cowboys.
Don't be stealing my material, Skip Bayless. I've been calling them the cardiac. I've been calling quarterback Dak cardiac Dak with the attack because he gets you at the edge of the seat. For those who out there watch the live broadcast that I be doing on game day, you guys know I've been calling him cardiac Dak. And some people are like, hey, why you say that? Because I say that because I be at the edge of my seat and I just don't want him to hold the ball on too long. And you got to get the ball out, especially after the 3-step drop after the empty back formation or shotgun empty back. So, man, Skip, you must be listening in to Nothing But the Bass, right? You must be listening to Law Nation. You got to be.
Cowboys. No team that I have ever root for is more agonizing to root for than this team.
Okay.
But the cardiac Cowboys have won 5 straight games.
Yes.
Maybe by hook or crook. I don't know how. And their turnover ratio, which is always telling, you can always say, what the best teams, they always have big plus and, you know, they've taken it away a lot more than they've given it away. Dallas is 0, which is no good. It's like dead even, but they're 8-5. Why are they 0? Because the quarterback keeps spitting it up all over the carpet. Well, he does.
He got to improve.
I told you.
So who will have the best quarterback on Sunday?
Well, I'll give you Andrew Luck as far as yards, passing.
No, as far as everything. Stop it. Why do you keep doing that? Look, Skip.
Ho. Shannon. Dallas Cowboys played against the Eagles, and they had a better quarterback, right? Those that's in the chat box, man, you guys can agree Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, right? So then the game before that, they played against the Saints. The Saints have a better quarterback than Dak, do they? And then on top of that, you can just go back to the last 5 games, all the way up until you can probably say maybe Blake Bortles or somebody. Dallas Cowboys always play against the better quarterback, especially according to everybody that's here right now that's watching this show right now. So you can't use that, Shannon Sharp. But let's continue to hit play. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this content.
I understand you're a Cowboys fan, but you and I both know Dak Prescott is not the equivalent of Andrew Luck.
One guy makes plays, the other guy not so much.
So Andrew Luck is not going to an AFC Championship game? Has he not gone to the divisional?
And what did they do? They tried to blow the whistle on New England in that AFC Championship game at halftime. And what happened to him?
He didn't blow the whistle. He can't control what someone else does.
It was his management.
Yeah.
So what they got to do with him?
Well, he got blown off the field in the second half of that game at New England, right?
Okay, where your guy been?
And that's the last we heard of Andrew Luck.
My
guy just keeps winning games in the fourth quarter. My guy in the fourth quarter and overtime Sunday, as you quickly pointed out yesterday, was 17 of 20 for 243, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. That's after he threw 2 ugly interceptions.
And
fumbled. And missed Amari with 58 seconds left on the game clincher, missed him by 5 yards. He was 10 yards open. So I give you all that. But when it's time, Warrior turns back into Warrior.
Look, if you look at the Colts offense, T.Y. Hilton has been unbelievable.
Okay. He's nasty.
Eric Ebron, he's finally, he got away from Matthew Stafford, and all of a sudden, you can understand why the Lions took him with the 10th pick in the draft.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, speaking of Eric Ebron, he is now tied for the NFL.
Hey, I am on record this offseason when Ebron was just out there just chilling. I was saying, Cowboys, that's the guy we need to get right there. We need to get him. And a lot of people are like, he can't block, he can't do this and do that. Man, if we'd have had Ebron, man, we wouldn't be on this search list for looking for these tight ends. Now, trust me, I like the fact that this young tight end core is growing and developing with each other. I like that, but I want some stuff now that we could put the pieces around Dak Prescott to help this team out. But neither here nor there. Maybe, just maybe, the emergence of number 89, our tight end, Jarwin and them boys, maybe that can help this thing out collectively. Let's go.
NFL lead in touchdown catches with 12, with Devontae and Antonio Brown. 12 touchdown catches, and he got cut by Detroit. Okay? So he is by far the favorite target, especially in money time, for Andrew Luck.
Quarterback's best
friend.
So
what did I tell you last week about Zach Ertz? He murdered my Cowboys at Philadelphia. They won in spite of all of his catches. He caught 14 balls. You can relate to that.
Yep.
That's more than you ever caught, right?
It is.
Yep. 14 catches for 145 yards did Zach Ertz have against Dallas at Philadelphia. But this time they said, no, sorry, Carson, you can no longer have Zach Ertz. He caught 5 balls for a grand total of 38 yards on Sunday. And who often took him? My best quarterback.
But guess what? You're going to put Byron Jones. So who's going to take T.Y. if you put Byron Jones on Eric Ebron?
Well, maybe we put the Wolf Hunter on him. Maybe we put the tackling Dutchman on him. That's...
Oh, that's what you want? You want a linebacker to try and cover Ebron?
Yeah.
Well, he'll have Zach Ertz type number.
Okay.
14 for 140.
I don't think he will. I think he will be taken away.
You saw what Goddard did to him.
Yeah. Well,
did Goddard?
He got loose one time. I don't know.
And they called it back. That was a bogus call. It was a bogus call.
Come on.
Yeah, that was a bogus call. Okay. And then they made up for it with another bogus call on Randy Gregory a play later.
Skip, you know good and well you can't tackle the quarterback. That's the Tom Brady rule. You can't tackle the quarterback in the pocket around his legs.
Around his legs?
Yeah,
it's just reach around and grab his foot.
You can't be. No,
that's a makeup call. No, you know it, and I know it.
And he went helmet to helmet with Goddard, too.
Come on.
25. Yeah, you did. But anyway, don't worry about that.
So are you saying it was a robbery? No, you're not.
Andrew Luck will take care of you on Sunday.
We'll
put you out your misery. Bring you back down to earth.
Don't
you
put
feel
the do
it.
on.
There's no misery. We're up 2 games.
Exactly.
How can you put me out of my misery?
No, you don't.
That would put us up 1 game, maybe. Although, wait a second. Philly still has to go to the Rams. You don't think the Rams will be spoiling to get even with somebody this Sunday in the Hollywood weather here?
Your life's too good right now.
Yeah.
Everything's going really well for you right now, Skip Bayless. You're up about 11 cases, and if things go according to plan
it's not about 11 cases. I'm about 11 cases.
Coming up.
You're living real good, Skip. The Cowboys are playing well.
Yep.
You got another 6 cases to do on the line with the Eagles lose the division, Cowboy win the division. So you're feeling really good about yourself.
It looks like I'm about to be up 17 cases.
What happens? That possible?
Shannon, stop betting.
Well, I'll never get it.
Oh, no, I'm going to give it to you.
I will never get it. Because somebody doesn't pay.
No.
Somebody got way down in our first year of existence here on Undisputed, and somebody on my birthday paid off.
I'm going to pay it off.
And then we cleared the slate, and we started over, and it's looking like it's about to be 17.
I'm going to give you all your little cases, and I'm going to take them back one by one.
Okay.
That's what's going to hurt you. But I'm going to start.
That's a lot of ones. That's a lot of days.
No. I'm going to start this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to start this week with Andrew Luck. I'm going to get 2 of them back on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Andrew Luck's going to get you.
Was that?
Man, it's crazy, man. All right, so thank everybody for tuning in to this show, man. I really appreciate each and every last one of you all for being part of this thing, man. I look, got to put the fire back there. Hey, my brother from another mother, Skip. Hey, I don't even like Skip like that, but shout out to Skip, man. He brought some little facts there, but this team better win. We better figure out a way to find a way to win the game. That's the name of it. That's the thing that we should do. That's the thing that we must do in these sort of things. But, hey, appreciate each and every last one of you guys. I seen somebody making a donation to help grow the nation. I really appreciate that. Let me see who we got. David Alexander the Great, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for making this thing happen, especially with those type of things and those contributions is everything, man. Thank you for the dedication for the nation. Who else we have here? I don't have my glasses on, so I'm not able to see that well, but I do see different shoulders for making a donation to help grow the nation. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can go ahead and talk to you guys about what I think that needs to happen here. What really needs to happen, Cowboy Nation, is I talked about a little bit earlier about Tavon Austin. We saw against the Giants game, the first game that we played against them, that he was able to take the top off the defense, and Dak Prescott was finally trying to develop that rapport with him. And we saw a little bit against the Texans game. There was two deep passes that my guy Tavon Austin dropped, and I was telling everybody at the time that if it had to be like a real dominant receiver, they make those catches there, and it helps the quarterback out. And what we're seeing now collectively, we're seeing a Amari Cooper is helping the quarterback out so much that it's bringing us to like different levels. If we get in respect throughout the league, but not in Vegas. And I like that because I like the fact that when we are flying under the radar, that everybody count us out and things like that. So that's wonderful. Shout out to Snicker, man, for making the donation to help grow the nation, man. Really appreciate that. Romero, let me give the shout out to the first person that's in the chat box. I forgot to do that. Elite Rob, man, was that you, the first person in the chat box? Really appreciate it, man. And then David Alexander, second place, no cigar. But I really appreciate you, man. You made the donation still. And then we have Cowboy. Samoan Cowboy, really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And let me see what we have here. Professor Carter, yes, taking these notes. Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank those who are watching while you at work. Hey, it is what it is. Dago, really appreciate you for tuning in to the nation. Man, we got a whole bunch of people here, man. That's what I'm talking about. Let me jump over here on the Law Nation 2.0. Jay Jones, appreciate you, no doubt. Salute, appreciate you, man. Thank you for tuning in. And then over here, Money Making Mall. He was the first person that's in this thing. Say Prime Time. What's good, man? Thank you so much. You're the second person that's in this thing. All right, so that let me know that you guys are part of the notification squad. And you guys know we just don't like the notification squad. We love it. That's how we do this thing, because I jump on at different various times throughout the day. But, hey, all we got to do is play our style of football. Don't focus on what the naysayers are saying. Don't focus on what Vegas is saying. Because at the end of the day, if we control the TOP, you guys already know. I don't have to even explain what TOP is. If we can just do the control of the TOP, then the rest will be what it is. Keep Nation growing. Yes, man. Thank you, man. Was it Woody Mac, 73? Yes, appreciate you, man. Thank you for making the donation to help grow the nation one way or another. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Let's get this thing long and gone. Let's get this thing going in the right direction. Let's go. Let's go with this thing. Y'all hear it? Y'all hear it? Yes. I do have a podcast. That's LAW Nation. I got to go run and grab me something to eat because I'm about to fall out over here. Brother need to feed the nation, right? With all this being said, guys, man, for those who've been with us when we were 3 and 5, I'm going to say the word ain't. It's a wonderful feeling. Especially, man, we 8 and 5 right now, and we're trying to get to 9 and 5. But that would be a nice number for me, right? Let's go to 9 and 5 this weekend. Don't forget to put your score prediction down. I love to see that too. Put down where you're from. I like to hear that, to see that, and all that good stuff. And let me know. I already know that you guys feeling the fact that we got this pace and this momentum going. Let me know how y'all feel about Tavon Austin. If we can get him back into this mix, man, that would be nice, man. That would be nice, man. I just can't say this much longer. If we can get these guys to play their end of the ball, man, it'd be nothing but fire and desire. All those things, right? Yeah. Let's go, baby. Y'all see this thing, man. One way or another. That's been my time. I really appreciate each and every last one of you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute. I'm out. Peace. Jam on out with me, baby. Yeah. Come on. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. One way or another, let's get this W. All defense is not scared. We got D-Law. #law and order.